Hey guys, so today I am back after several weeks of not filming a new video, and I'm back with a book review. And the book review is going to be on the book Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. By the way, this is my bookshelf. I'm trying to experiment with new backgrounds now because I really want to film something in front of my bookshelf because I feel like my old background was really boring, but I can't decide if I like it or not because my natural light is coming from this side, so this side of my face is really dark. But for now, let's get on with the book review. So I had heard about this from BookTube, as I do for a lot of books that I read. This book is sort of classified as a contemporary YA novel. It's about the LGBTQ community, which is great because I feel like we don't have enough books about homosexuals or homosexuality, and I feel like it's important that we have more. And first of all, I really like the book cover. I feel like some people might not appreciate it, but I really like it. It's a bit quirky and fun, and I love the color. So this book basically talks about this teenager named Simon. He's 16 years old and he goes to school, and he's been emailing this person online that he calls Blue. And Blue has no idea who Simon is, and Simon has no idea who Blue is. It's kind of an anonymous thing, but they both go to the same school. And then one day this guy called Martin just comes up to Simon in school and he's like, "Hey, I saw your emails to Blue because you just logged into your Gmail account on the school computers and you forgot to log out. So I saw it and now I kind of know that you're gay," which Simon nor Blue have actually come out yet, so nobody actually knows that they're homosexual. So Martin is basically like, "Can you help me get with one of your girlfriends, or I'll just tell the entire world that you're gay," which is basically blackmailing. And through being blackmailed by Martin and also having to deal with coming out to everyone around him and dealing with his friendships and family relationships, Simon slowly starts to find himself falling for this mysterious Blue on the internet that he has been emailing. So that's basically the premise of the story. There's a lot of fun involved. So first off, I do want to say that I absolutely love this book. It's a very quirky and humorous, lighthearted book that you might want to pick up if you want something that's not so intense, because even though there's a lot of blackmailing aspects to it, it's not something that is like a life or death situation or something very serious. I think Becky Albertalli actually handles blackmailing in a lighter way than it normally is handled. So I would definitely recommend this if you are looking for a very light read or something to get yourself out of a reading slump, because it really is a very quick read and it's just really easy to understand. However, this is not something that I read and was like, "Oh my god, this is earth-shattering, I love it." There are some aspects to this book that I don't exactly like, but I love it nonetheless and I would totally recommend it. The writing feels very effortless, something that I really liked because I just kind of breezed through the entire book. So firstly, I really loved how realistic and relatable everything in this book was. For example, Becky Albertalli really depicts high school life really realistically, which I find that not a lot of books do. However, through the life of Simon as he lives through school, we see that it's really very realistic, and some of these I have actually experienced at school myself. And it had mostly realistic characters. Simon was really real to me, so was Leia, and so was Blue. However, some of the other characters, they have personality and they're really very wildly different from each other, so they have very varying personalities which mix well together for a book. However, not all of them really jumped out at me. Some of them were kind of like 2D characters, but I still think that they had a really great variety of characters in this book. I could really understand Leia in this book because a lot of the times I did feel like that my friends kind of leave me out and they don't tell me a lot of things. So I really get Leia. Like, I get that she's upset that Simon didn't tell her first that he's gay because, come on, you guys have been friends for years and years, and Simon has only met Abby for months. So I really do get that, and I really love Leia as a person. Now on to the main characters, which are Simon and Blue. And Simon's just a really very average 16-year-old teenager. He reads fanfiction on the internet, he loves to act, he loves Harry Potter, he has an obsession with eating Oreos, and he's really into acting. There's actually a really huge chunk in here about how much he loves Oreos, which I found interesting and kind of fun to read because it's kind of cute that he has this huge obsession with Oreos. I mean, we all have an obsession with something. I found Simon to be a very hilarious character, and he was so funny. He has this very weird sense of humor to him that I really get. This book is written in the first perspective, so there's a lot of inner monologues by Simon, which I found hilarious, and I was really cracking up at various points through the book. And throughout the book, I really got to see character development. Like, Simon really developed as a character from being confused with his sexuality and not wanting to come out with actually being come out and being comfortable with himself and with his friends, and he And throughout the book, I really see how he strengthened his relationships with the people around him. Now onto Blue, which Simon anonymously emailed, and they kind of email each other and talk to each other about their homosexuality issues. And over the course, Blue and Simon kind of start to fall in love with each other. He's a really poetic person, and Simon describes him as being like really linguistic and good at grammar. He's pretty shy as well, which I also understand. I appreciated how we really got to understand Blue's character throughout the entire book, because this book is told from Simon's perspective, so it's going to be about Simon's life, obviously. But Blue is such an important part in this book as well. Simon doesn't know who Blue is. We shouldn't actually have been able to know about Blue that much, but I really liked how Becky Albertalli chose to incorporate some of the emails in here, which I loved reading about, because that means we got to understand Blue's character a lot more before we even knew who Blue was. And speaking of who Blue was, I didn't actually guess who Blue was. I know that a lot of people have actually been able to pick up on the clues and guess who this mysterious Blue that goes to the same school as Simon was, but I didn't get it, and it was a really pleasant surprise. Like, I could see the clues that were in it after he was revealed to me, and I'm just not really good at guessing things. Basically every guy that Simon talked to I thought was Blue, but of course I was proven very wrong. Now onto the plot. The plot was very fun, very straightforward, and I could see the clear structure of it. We not only saw Simon interacting with Blue, he was also interacting with his family members and his friends and his arch enemies maybe, and so we really got to understand Simon a lot through the book. There were a lot of subplots, which I appreciated because we got to understand more themes, but the subplots did get kind of distracting and boring at the end, and the filler moments kind of put me off this book a bit. I think that the whole story was really cute and really well laid out, and I thought the last part where Simon met Bram on the wheel thing, I forgot what it's called, the wheel thing. That was really cute as well. It was one of the cutest moments that made me like really squeal. So the plot of the book is really quite fluffy and very light, and it wasn't really all sweet things. There were a lot of moments that my heart kind of just plunged and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? Oh my god. There are a lot of that kind of moments in the book as well. So I would say that the progression is really nice in this book, and it's really not quite as intense. As for Martin, I really hated him throughout the book because at times it seemed that he was a really cool guy and Simon really did start to warm up to him, but then he started to do all these things that made him very unlikable. But of course, at the end of the email that he sent to Simon kind of redeemed him a bit, because in the email I could clearly see that he knew what he did wrong and he apologized. And I mean, life is just a road of you live and you learn, so I did appreciate Martin's character at the end of the book. He's not my favorite character and I still kind of hate him a bit because of what he did to Simon, but he's not a bad character. As for the theme, this is predominantly an LGBTQ community book, so it really did talk a lot about coming out and struggling with sexuality, which Simon and Blue both do. And honestly, this book wasn't all about love and Simon falling in love with Blue online but not knowing who he is in real life, but it's also about Simon's relationships with his friends and with his family. There are quite a lot of interesting quotes in here about inequality and stereotypes, which made me think a lot. Like, Simon thinks that we really shouldn't have a stereotype that everyone is actually just heterosexual until they come out as homosexual or anything else like that. Like, everybody has no sexuality until they come out as a specific sexuality. Like, this is how it should be, and the same with races. Like, there shouldn't be a stereotypical race as well. A part that really stood out to me was when Simon was getting himself a cup of coffee in the middle of the book maybe, and his parents were kind of joking around with him and saying that he didn't used to drink coffee and now he's drinking coffee anymore, and I remember Simon thinking that why can't people just accept that other people can be subject to change, that we shouldn't all be shut into a box that we have to live by. So overall, this book has got really amazing elements, really great plot, was a really quick and nice read, so I would definitely recommend it. It's not part of my favorite books of all time, but I do think that's a very great book, and I do encourage you all to pick this up and read it if you're looking for something that is easy and interesting as well as gripping. I can't actually imagine this being a book that can be read over and over again. Of course, once you read it the second time, the shock factor of finding out who Blue is kind of wears off a little because you already know, but you can pick up a lot on the clues that were given throughout the book that showed who Blue actually was, and of course Simon's humor and everyone's humor in this book never does get old. So I would give this a solid 4 stars out of 5, if not 4.5 stars out of 5. Go read it. Go read it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!
I really need to work on my book reviews, actually. I suck at them. I don't know what to say and if I'm being thorough enough and if I talk about everything in a good way.
Bye guys.